this is Cindy.
Hi, everyone. This is Jana.
So, thank you everyone for coming and joining us today. We are at episode 10. Like, I feel like this is a milestone.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, and as you'll see, we don't have guests today. We purposely planned it because I think when we started this whole conversation about starting this series, we never thought we would get to episode 10.
It's true.
Right. I don't think we ever thought we would get to episode 10. So I think today we want to kind of just look back at some of the highlights from the last 10 episodes, and just to recap really, and to think about what were the threads. I think some of the things that keeps popping up in all of these conversations, even though all the conversations were touching upon different issues, I think there's still a common thread amongst all of the guests that came on to speak with us. I mean, what do you think, Jana?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we do have a lot of actually connecting dots. It's like there are terms and things that appeared in every episode, even though sometimes it was about artists, it was about managers, it was about mental health. In the beginning, we were very much focusing on the mental health issue, but there are these connecting dots. There are these things that appeared in every episode, like literally, or even just, in different terms, but the meaning was the same. So I have to say, I will just start with one because it pops up. The first one for me was there is a chance in crisis. It's something we said in the very beginning, which is because we were focusing on the mental health so much, and we said, it's maybe better to look at it as a chance rather than, oh no, we're sitting at home, we can't do anything, let's put our head in the ground and get stuck in forever, or how long this will take. So this is actually something that was it's a very positive thought without actually erasing the fact that there is a crisis going on. So it's not like pretending as if we're not in a pandemic, but it's making the best out of it.
Right.
And that's something I think everyone was agreeing on, or even it's the positive side.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? I think we are surrounded by a lot of people who just rather stay in a very negative frame of mind. And I think all the guests that joined us, I don't think it was on purpose. It was just that I think we were all part of a conversation where they felt it was an opportunity, it was a chance, and they were learning how to really deal with it. I mean, as hard as it is, and we can't, there's no denying, we all know that that's a fact. Like it's just been such a challenging 18 months. And even, between now, like when we started versus now that we're in episode 10, we kept expecting things to be slightly different, but it hasn't really, in a way. Like it's still the same. And yet there's that positivity with each episode and every guest that came on, just to give that positive frame of mind and that positive energy.
The thing is, it's the energy and the positivity comes with trying. I mean, if you don't see the chance, you just sit there and you wait until it's over. But when you see a chance, you try. You fail, maybe you try something. You try to book a tour. You try to pull off a concert. You'll try whatever. And you might fail, and I think 100% failed within the last 15 months. But it's still, you're busy. You will find where you get creative. Because you have to. That's another thing that was really like a connecting dot, the creativity that comes with planning during a pandemic, because we have to become more creative. We cannot just, open up our computer and put up our Excel lists or whatever, however we work, and just go with what we learned so far. We have to find new ways, travel-wise, organization, also mental health. Again, we are dealing with people, artists, but also colleagues who are, who we also went through this pandemic, and it did something to us in what way ever. But so putting this, seeing this as a chance gives space for creativity.
Yeah.
And it makes space for actually doing something, which is good, because sitting at home like this is not going to make us feel any better. It's going to make us feel worse.
Right, for sure. I
Yeah.
think you see it, right? No one has the answer. And I think that's also another thing, right? I don't think
Yeah, true.
anyone has the answer, which is also why we started this whole conversation to begin with, right? Because we kept saying, I think, the first thing I always like to say, or at least during these conversations, we're not trying to be prescriptive. Like we're not here to solve anybody's problems. But we are trying to discuss, in a very safe space amongst the guests, issues that really are prevalent right now and relevant to what's going on now, and how we can share ideas with each other, because we really don't have answers, and even without a pandemic, there's a lot of issues within our industry that are not within our control.
But maybe, you know what, it just came to my head that I remember when we first talked about this, that was exactly what we thought. That was the one thing. The second thing was that we want to address the elephant in the room. That we don't want to talk around the elephant in the room, but we want to address it. And the thing is, maybe this also is an answer, but it means not the answer to a pandemic or to I don't know, but maybe it is an answer because it helps you or us or whoever joins us or listens to actually see that it's okay to talk about the elephant. It's necessary, and maybe that does make a little change. I mean, not giving a solution.
Right,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing, is like, we just want people to be able to take a little bit back of our conversations, that maybe something, it would, it's to spark them in it to think differently. Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a little thing that, oh, why didn't I, maybe I could even try this, like even just a whole, what always kept sticking to me is that our discussion with Lily and Tracy about the little tips and tools of the mental health. And those are the things that, a lot of it seems so obvious, but it takes someone to say it, to remind you. Even simple practices within our own business, right? Like we just, we always know the theory, but to be reminded and to say, okay, maybe let's just try this little thing. Maybe let me just change this, now I could switch my rehearsal schedule from 10 to 12 instead of always having it to be 3 to 5, and see how it goes, right? It's not.
No, absolutely. And another thing is, I think we always said that this is not a, official panel format. It's more like the smoking area. It's the happy hour. It's the,
yes, exactly.
That's what we're missing. I mean, we can go online and attend conferences, digital conferences and so on. But what is missing is the meeting in between panel 1, panel 2, dinner, lunch, and so on. And this is, the elevator talk. Or the smoking area talk. And sometimes, or the drink afterwards, so the happy hour. But because sometimes that's where things happen as well, I mean, it's not only that you sit there and listen to, I don't know, a big speaker, which is fantastic and very, gives you a lot of input, but sometimes it's talking about it afterwards. And I think that was what another attention which absolutely worked, because a lot of some of our guests came and we said them, this is really a relaxing situation, and it's really it's a relaxed thought, and it went up, up. It was like it was amazing to see how what happens when
they really opened up, because I think they're so used to. I would say we did we're like, we should pat ourselves on the back, because we are trying really hard to make them be relaxed, because it's not, we call it like talking a little bit of shit, talking a little bit of business, talking a little bit of just everything. But then that's our industry, that's our relationship, that's how we interact on a business, on a day-to-day business with our colleagues. If we're at these conference settings, it is not like these little formal thing where you just sit there and you're listening to someone talk down or talk to you or talk at you. Again, I agree. Like, a lot of times these speakers are great, but then oftentimes I sit there and all of these things are bubbling in my head, and I feel like I have no one to talk to about it.
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah, exactly. And this is what happens when you're online. You go online and you go offline, and then you go back to your daily life because you're sitting in your living room, kitchen, wherever you're sitting. So you don't even have a change of space because you're at home, more or less. You know, I mean, yeah, I can go out for a walk and listen to, but it's a complete difference. That's why attending a conference or attending anything in person live will become so, like, this is the exciting part about the pandemic slowly being over, hopefully. Well, fingers crossed that this is happening next year.
Right.
And we have to go offline. We have to do this in person with people.
Yeah, exactly. I think we will
have the happy hour table.
Exactly. And I think that'll look so different, but that also leads, but actually this just popped up in my question, you know, in my head, is that, you know, some conferences and some of these festivals are starting to come back, right? And so I'm curious. I mean, I haven't physically attended any of those yet because some of the ones I registered already got canceled. But I was on one 2 weeks ago that was that was both live and hybrid. And from what the feedback I heard was that people physically there just basically ignored everybody online.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
like
really?
And it became like two separate. That was just a very quick feedback. Like the people online was just the people online. And I felt like, I mean, look, I was there for part of the sessions and so on and so forth. And I was just interacting very sporadically, but you don't feel you're part of, like, you don't feel, you don't understand, or maybe it didn't connect of how that live would be. Like, I don't think I connected anyone that was there physically.
But you know what? I just thought, like, as long as you have a panel situation, it's easy to put the, you know, to combine, because you have the people sitting there and you can, you know, but what happens once you leave the room? I mean, I would have to take my phone with me and have someone with me on my phone to take that person of the virtual part with me to, I don't know, a happy hour. So it is actually kind of, it's challenging because you move, like in person, you would move, you move around.
Right.
And either you find a way, VR, whatever, where you really connect within a 3D space. Oh my God, but this is challenging. I am going to conference end of November. It's still on, it's not canceled. But I think it's only in person. I don't even think it's a hybrid. It's a small one. It's a very small conference.
Right.
Oh, but that's interesting. See?
Yeah, like I'm so curious now because what that interaction is going to be, because a lot of people are doing both live and hybrid now. And then the hybrid is sort of, you know, from all the conversations from the festivals and so on and so forth, they know that like the hybrid is probably going to continue to stay with the live. So now I guess we just have to, I mean, maybe we that's in our next conversation, right? We have some, I mean, that's going to be super, super interesting. But that was just, you know, when you said that, it's like, and going back to sort of just maybe thinking about us kind of re-engaging with society, you know, and that was one of those things that I think we've been so, I've been so focused on how to get through it that I think the next step for us is how to re-engage with society again.
Oh, absolutely. But this is another opportunity, you know, when you go to how to re-engage, but also all this virtual stuff. I mean, as much as it's a pain in the ass once in a while because you don't really see people, at the same time, it gives another opportunity. That's another connecting dot, by the way, because what we said, like, you know, you have this girl in, I don't know, let's say Tokyo, Shanghai, somewhere, and she wants to see the Bolshoi Ballet. Or
they'll never be able to see it.
She cannot afford to go to travel to buy a ticket at Lincoln Center or Bolshoi, whatever, you know. So this is the opportunity. This is where she goes online. She can watch her ballet and or concert even or whatsoever. So this is something that will definitely change, and it would have changed within the next years, but it would have taken more time. So this whole COVID pandemic just it's like a speeding up process. It speeded up this process, which is interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was one of those things that we talked about, right? Then, and this whole idea of accessibility was also in a way a thematic thing, right? Like talking about someone, but there's also accessibility from an age perspective. Like, you know, there may be performances that are suitable for young children, but the venues, you know, don't allow you. And so then now your kids or younger children are no longer able to attend. But this is a space that they're able to enjoy. And this is a space where they're going to be able to see things that are not only just specifically for children, you know?
True. I heard yesterday, and I wanted to ask you if you agree on this, because I'm not sure. I read an article yesterday saying that all this like virtual stuff, especially for children, because I mean, children are in front of their iPads and computers anyways, like for too long already. Yeah. So there was this article saying this just adds on to a problem that's already there. And I thought, doesn't it make a difference if you sit there and play, I don't know all these games. What's it called?
Fortnite.
I don't know. Yeah, like all this, or if you watch something educating in a way, even if it's, you know, I think there is a difference, but I mean, that could be another topic, just thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was an interesting thought because I never thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, it's true. They will spend more time in front of their computers, but it's not the same. It's not the same gaming or being online in a school or like, you know, attending a cultural event.
I mean, for me, it's a constant struggle every day with my son.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's a constant struggle. And because he is still virtual, so he's already online staring at small screens with his classmates and teachers for 6 hours a day. And then he gets off and he still wants to continue conversing with his friends over Fortnite or Roblox or whatever you call it, you know, any of these games. And so I think it's finding that balance. I think for me, the concern is more just like the health perspective versus the content. And of course, the content is a challenge, right? Like a lot of the educational stuff, obviously everything is online. From the school perspective, all the educational content is online. So they're forced to look at their materials online. So they can't get away from it. So I think it's not about how long they spend their time on screen, but it's more what kind of content are you engaging with that screen?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Because this is their future, right? Like this is what's going to happen when they move forward. You know, no one's writing. Everything is all typed out.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But that's, I mean, it's the same here for all the kids. I mean, they're trying to go back to school and they are going back to school slowly, or they are, but it's, you know, it's like very thin ice. It's like you can break and we're heading towards autumn and winter. So, you know, we'll see. But I have a question for you. What is your biggest challenge right now?
The biggest challenge is trying to, well, you know, every single day you're just trying to see when our next performance can actually happen. And I actually do, I mean, believe it or not, I'm trying to send my artist to Taiwan in like a week.
Oh, very challenging. Hello. Hi, challenge.
And that is, now I'm really in it, right? Like I'm now in it trying to move people across the border. And it's just one person. And it's been, it's just like a logistical, it wasn't a nightmare, but it was just a lot of the uncertainty throughout the whole thing that you never anticipated. And that's the scary part for me. That I think is it's again, you know, one of those things we talked about is like, we like to be in control, but half of this stuff that I'm dealing with is nothing I can be in control over. You know, and
that is a huge, I think that's one of the biggest learnings. Yeah. In a good and bad way. Well, bad, I don't want to use the word bad, but in a good way is to understand that, you know, not being in control is okay. But the opposite side is that you are not in control and you can't control and you can't organize. So that's the...
Yeah. And so we are putting you know, you're now forced into thinking about a lot of little details that we never, ever had to think about. Right. And this artist needs to be quarantined for 21 days. and and he's a pianist, and he has to come out, rehearse, and go on stage and perform, and he has no instrument, and so you have to like worry about getting him like an instrument into his quarantine hotel and figuring out which hotel allows someone to come in because you're supposed to be in quarantine and no contact. So it's all of these little things that are you just like, wow. It's very exhausting, I have to say. It's exhausting, it's tedious, and every single day you're just waking up thinking, what else am I missing, right? Because we're all really facing this for the first time, and maybe after this first run around, we will all be okay. But then again, everything is going to be different depending on where you go. And we said that, right? Like even during all of these conversations and all the offline meetings I've had with artists and with presenters, it's like, I'm not focusing on just one country. I'm focusing on different multiple countries. And I said this, even as I say it aloud, you still don't know what that would look like once you're actually in it and dealing with moving people across borders. And now that I'm in it, you're just like, I did not think this is still going to happen. Like, it's like when reality hits you and you're actually in it, it's very different from what you think, what you envisioned or what you think could be when you're talking about it.
No, but that's the thing we talked about, that if we would have known 1.5 years ago that we would still sit here and discussing these problems, we would have been like, oh my God. So, I mean, honestly, and that was probably totally naive and totally like 1.5 years ago in New York, when we met in New York, this was the first time I heard about it. I heard about there is something happening, and it already had an impact on touring, and you could feel something is happening. And then it came to like, I don't know, I think March, April, it hit Germany, and I thought, oh yeah, winter latest. Okay, so that summer is gone, bye summer, and there was no way I thought about sitting here still not in lockdown situation and not as worse, but like work-wise. It's still, nothing has really changed. It's like we were trying to pull off concerts and tours and whatsoever, but we have to cancel more than we can go through. Like there is more cancellation happening than actual festivals or actual concerts happening. And they're very small and very restricted. And it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And that's something I have to say, if I would have known a year ago, I'm happy I didn't. So because now it gives me the opportunity to take it step by step. But exactly, if you have someone, you have to organize like an international tour, which I don't, thank God, at the moment. This is like, how do you do that?
And it's not even a tour. It's just like a point A to point B.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that point A to point B already is quite stressful. Like moving him around, and then the kind of expectations of what artists can expect from the programmer or their host is going to be completely different. Generally they be like, when artists shows up at a place, host will have someone come pick you up and greet you and all. No, he can't. Like because you're supposed to be in quarantine. So he has to like,
and what about himself. The budget? If you cannot work for 20 days,
21
paid.
Yeah. 21 days. And it's really, in a way, I feel like it's like the slow motion right now that's happening in my brain of how everything we talked about is actually playing out.
Yeah. And now you have to still be positive or stay positive in a way. Yeah. I think staying positive also includes throwing a cup against the wall once in a while and just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is happening? Because staying healthy, like mental wise, is not, looking at it always from the bright side. It means like getting rid of all the anger. And there is a lot of like, I do this. I stand here sometimes and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? This shit. This is just shit. And it's important because that has to get out of my system as well.
Yeah, it just, we just
like, chanting crisis, literally all the time. It's not working.
Exactly. So, it really is interesting. It's surreal in a way that, oh my God, I am actually having something happening this year. And then, and then, and then another thing is like, oh my God, this is what I talked about. We talked about all of this, but now to be in it is so different from what you talk about, right? It's like, well, it's like every situation, right? It's like knowing what it feels like if you get into, you can only imagine what it is, right? You anticipate, well, if you don't do this, you're going to get into, XYZ will happen. Knowing it and to be in that XYZ is different. It's totally different.
It's always the same, when you have a theory, if you have a concept in your head, once you put it on paper, it's already different. It's really amazing in your head, and you're like, oh my God, this is like blah blah blah, and then you put it on paper, and it's like, oh no, that doesn't work, or that's like it's like there are a lot of things happen in theory. They sound amazing, they look amazing in your head, but once you put them into reality, or even in words, if you just have a thought and you put that thought into words, it changes. And sometimes it's like, oh, it's not that great anymore. Or it was better in my head,
Right.
And sometimes it's actually the other way around. It's like it's an okay idea, and then you put it and you put it out there, and all of a sudden it becomes this amazing thing. It's both ways, but it's true. I mean, I think dealing with this pandemic in a real world, with all it's just, it's challenging. That's what we kept saying the whole time. It's challenging.
Yeah, and everybody, that is the truth, right? The truth is that it's difficult, it's challenging, whatever synonym you wanted to use. It's just, that's it. We are in this all together, and again, that whole thematic across all of these conversations is that how do we, the best way is our positivity, is that regardless of how hard it is, we do almost have to like force ourselves to be positive. Because if we continue to stay within this whole, like, I'm the victim, which we all are. I mean, but the world have been victimized, right? It's been devastated. So we're not the only one. And I think it's about how do we pull ourselves out of this mental, cauldron of just like swimming in negativity. And I think all of us are finding ways, everybody, you hear everybody, just whether it's from switching gears, like I really love that conversation about how they switched completely, entirely different industry. I think those are all little snippets to really give audience, a chance to say, we don't have to be scared. It is scary, but we just have to throw ourselves out there. And
we have to talk to each other.
Yeah,
I think
that's
another thing.
Exactly.
That's why these conversations, and then it's just, because when we talk, we exchange ideas, we exchange thoughts, and you will have something, maybe a new way to look at things. Maybe it's not, the big view on things, but maybe it's a tiny shift in how you look at things, or how one of our guests look. And
exactly.
It's helping. It's really, I took a lot of
for me, exactly. I felt I took always, there's something I take away every single every single episode from these guests. And in a way, I almost feel like we do this for our own selfish gain too. Like I mean, look, we do, and because we felt we gained something every week, like to me, it's so tangible. Like those things are actually tangible stuff that I can take away once I'm offline. I can just apply it, right? And I want to share that. And I think, again, it goes back to what we talk about as to why we started these conversations, and why it's important that we will continue to have these conversations.
I think it will be, we will definitely continue doing this.
Yes.
I think there will be an interesting shift once we can do this in person.
Yes.
And also maybe because at one point the pandemic will be a bit more behind us. Like right now, I feel like we're absolutely not in the middle, but we're part of it.
Still in it. Yeah, we're still in it.
But at one point it will be, we will move towards the end. and what comes after, what's the new topic, you know, what's the new big thing in the business. And I think it will always be related to what happened within the last 1.5, maybe 2 years by then. But this will be interesting, and I'm totally looking forward to have in-person conversations hopefully next year. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's not going to happen.
I know, and you know, we want to encourage our audiences to continue to comment. You know, if you haven't, or if you know us, please feel free to reach out to us. And we love ideas. If there's any burning questions or burning issues that you wanted us to talk about, we'd be happy to put it on.
Absolutely. Or if you want to join the conversation, you can always email us or contact us in the comments
below.
Or, or via email, because we would love to. We will definitely continue doing this online and in person, and we would be happy to have you.
Yes, for sure. So I think, you know, I mean, I think I really, I was a little scared when you approached me about this, but I think when we wanted to start this, but I sat on it. And again, this was a result of forcing us, right? It really did. This was also as a result of having us to not be scared and to pivot and to all of those thematic words that it was pivoting. It helped us with our mental positivity, you know, all around. This was a result and a product of what happened this last year.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's not only us feeling that way, but everyone who joined the conversation felt that way. I think for me, this is one of the greatest outcomes as well, that I felt comfortable, we felt comfortable, we loved it, but everyone who came online was absolutely relaxed and loved the conversation. You could feel that, because it was a real conversation. It was not stucky or it was
exactly.
Really
we're not trying to be academics about it. You know, we really are trying to address it in a very personable, you know, intimate way that you can really go home and say, yeah, this makes sense, you know, or you can totally not agree with us as well.
Try. No, but I mean, it will be interesting. We will keep going, and we will have an episode 20 at one point, and then we'll see what we have. Yeah.
I know. This is going to be really fun. No, we thank you again for joining us today. I think this is a really kind of just give everyone a chance to understand our thoughts behind why we started these conversations. And, you know, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, please, our InPulse Creatives channel, you could see all the episodes that we've recorded thus far. And we will be back with episode 10 with another burning question. So, you know, in the meantime, please, again, don't forget to subscribe, to comment, and to like. And if you want to reach out to us, all our information are below. And we look forward to seeing you next on that episode 10. No, episode 10.
11.
Yes. 11, sorry. Today is episode 10. We're so into it already that I'm forgetting the numbers. So thank you all. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you so
As
much.
always, you are such a great host. You're a great co-host. It'll be fun. Okay, we'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye.